We're here with the real living legend. I'm so honored. And we have BeVeRLy RoSS here. And here's her book. And we got other things to show. And, you know, BeVeRLy, you want to introduce yourself as how amazing you are? Or should I just say what I just read about you?
Well, I don't want to seem egomaniacal, but I'm fortunate enough to have had a lot of rock hit songs in the archival period of rock, including Lollipop, Lollipop.
Yeah, and I read about how that was the stuck in the hair of the guy's daughter, and
yeah, I came to the appointment to write with this guy, and he was very, very late, and I was still a teenager running home to Lakewood to graduate high school, and I was very, very late for the bus and whatever, and he said, "Oh, I apologize. We only had 15 more minutes left in the hour that we hired."
And it was $1 to rent a piano for an hour?
No, that was the dollar rental was before that when I'd written Dim Dim the Lights by Bill Haley.
Dim Dim the Lights by Bill Haley. Anyone ever hear him? This woman wrote that song. Yeah.
That was the first chart song that I had.
And how many chart songs have you had?
Oh, I've had about 12.
12, a whole dozen.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we were talking about Lollipop.
Oh yeah, and what happened is he came. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
He came late, and we only had 15 more minutes in the particular studio that we would rent studios to work in. That was before I had an apartment, and before I had a piano in an apartment.
And before you graduated high school.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And what happened is I was screaming at him and saying, "Well, I have to now catch a later bus, and I have to go home." And he said, "Well, I'm just terribly sorry. My wife was running all over the house chasing our 3-year-old, but she got a lollipop stuck in her head." And she was screaming and yelling, "No, I don't want Mommy to cut my hair." And my wife was trying to just cut it without hurting the child, cut the lollipop stuck in her long black hair. And I said, "Oh my God, you know, that's a great idea for a song. Let's forget the other 3 that we're working on." And I sat down at the piano and I played the chorus.
Look at that. It just happened.
It just poured right out. Yeah.
And you know, in that little piece I read, you said something extremely inspirational. You said a lot of things, but one thing was never stop. If you believe in something that you've done, someone will buy it.
Yes.
Just keep going.
It's true. In fact, you know how many people turned Lollipop down, which became an international
Good for you.
standard in my life, the most amazing song.
How many people turned it down?
12
I want to know.
movies. Two publishers turned it down. And the reason that I could go to these publishers was because the fellow that I was working with never had hits. He'd only been writing blues and stuff that was not commercial, for the rock, there was no rock yet exactly, for the pop market. It wasn't called rock yet. Well, maybe it had just been sort of designated as rock and roll, which Alan Freed changed from R&R, which used to be race and rhythm.
Now, race and rhythm, was that more like R&B or like?
No, R&B was a whole
different
category.
So what was race and rhythm? What is it?
R&R was something that they called this thing that was emanating in the blood of the artist.
Teenagers.
Well, you know.
So was Elvis involved in any of that?
This is a little bit later with Elvis.
So Elvis wasn't rock?
Oh, he was rock, but rock and roll actually was a word that became known as R&R, what used to be called an identification of black music.
Okay.
Other than R&B, it was more severe black music, you know. Alan Freed, who came in from Cleveland and was a very, very important DJ on WINS here, he framed it. He called it rock and roll. He took race and rhythm, and he knew that this new genre was forming and happening, and he named it rock and roll. So R&R is really his term.
Wow.
You know. But anyway, so we wrote the song, and the two different, very big publishers turned the song down. And in those days, you didn't go in with a demo. You went in because I can play and sing. So I went in and I would sing and play the piano and sing it. And I had trained my co-writer to come in on the chorus, you know, because I would sing the harmony and be playing it, and he would sing the melody, just to give it a little bit.
And how old were you?
That's 18.
You were 18.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, 19.
And you were the original, like, Britney Spears.
Well, I mean, anyway,
well, you were!
He said, the publisher said, "Oh, about 1/3 into the song, he said, "Oh, play me something else. That's not a hit."
So what'd you play him?
I got up. I was so insulted, and I looked at him like he was like death warmed over, and I walked out. I never went back to that publisher, and he regretted it.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, we heard the story down in the old building very many times.
Good.
But then the person I wrote it with, his fellow Julius, said, I know, he knew every publisher in town, but he'd never gotten cuts before. And he said, I know one guy, this guy turns everything I send him down, everything I play for him, or sing for him. Because he would have to like tap on the top of the piano and sing, because he couldn't play the piano. So he took me to see a guy named Arnold Shaw, who was the song man at a very, very famous company called E.B. Marks. They had a lot of Latin music, and they were very tremendously big. I mean, you've all heard of E.B. Marks. And what happened is, I sat down and I played it for Arnold Shaw, the guy who had turned everything that this Julius had ever played him before. And Arnold Shaw raised his hands. He said, "This is a smash."
Oh.
And he said, "Just a minute, BeVeRLy, just sit there at the piano." And he called everyone in, the kids in the copy room, the secretaries, all over. It was a whole huge office. The boss, who didn't want to come in because he was too busy being the boss, and all these people just to hate to hear this song from this girl. Who is she?
Right.
And of course they knew that I'd already had the Dim Dim the Lights, and so that was very, very good. It was kind of good background, because at that time that had been my only other big chart song.
Only other big, you were 18.
Well, I was 15 when I did Dim
15.
Dim the Lights. Yeah.
See, you are the original Britney Spears.
Well,
She didn't write her song.
They called me.
Maybe she added a like,
As Amanda might have told you, they called me one of the architects of rock and roll.
Okay.
Only because Dim Dim the Lights was the first woman that hit the white charts and was crossed over into the R&B charts.
Oh, good for you.
Until then, many had hit the black songs, great, stuff, had hit the R&B charts and crossed over into the pop charts.
So were you on American Bandstand?
I was, yeah.
Wow. What was that like?
1958.
I was kind of.
Do you remember? Do you remember what you wore?
No, because I really was never interested in being a performer. I was always a writer. I used to win poetry contests and slogan contests.
And you had that beautiful sister.
I had a beautiful sister, yeah.
So, but she kind of, it was helpful because you met people.
Well, it was she was beautiful, but I was younger then, and when I first, we were in a town that was a resort town, so she would come home from college and try to work as a waitress on the holidays only. And all the musicians were dying to meet her, and she would just walk away from them because she always had a boyfriend in college. And
That'll do it.
Sophia Loren, body and legs to die for. And what happened is the musicians used to play in these resort hotels, because when you have a resort hotel, you always have a bunch of musicians.
Right.
And time after time, I'd come with a portfolio. This was before Dim Dim the Lights. And I would ask the musicians, well, you're all musicians and you're all talking about that you write songs. I have this bunch of songs under my arm. I said, could you tell me who to go to in New York to play some songs for, some publishers? And they just roll their eyes and walk away from me and say, oh kid, are you sure? You don't think about writing songs. Do you know anything about music? And, this kid's always asking us where we've never had anything cut, but we will. They were all educated musicians from Juilliard. And so but I knew.
So did you have any training?
I did have piano lessons. As soon as my parents knew I could play by ear,
right?
They did give me piano lessons for a few years.
Okay.
But the teacher hated me because the teacher would play the piece first and say, learn it by next Tuesday. And I'd sit down and play it by ear.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So what's that called? Like,
I don't know. I think that...
a genius?
A gift.
A savant?
The genius.
What is that? Like, you have memory? Like it just happens? Like you channel
I just could, and I just don't know why. I don't know how.
Like, not a lot of people can do that.
I know. And the teacher was very annoyed because she really wanted me to educate me, because she was doing very musical.
Right.
And she wanted me to really learn
theory.
How to make,
all that stuff you don't need.
Theory. And she wanted me to learn how to make a lead sheet and how to write notes.
Did you ever learn all that?
I did.
And did it help?
It helped me a lot, because after a while I could make a beautiful lead sheet now.
That's, and do you do that still? Do you still write?
No, right now I work with musical directors and they make all my lead sheets.
Good for you. And now, do you still write poetry?
Yes, I do. There's some poems in my book.
Oh, maybe you can read us one. Or tell me about Phil Spector. Like, I was the first woman Phil Spector killed. Now, how did he? You're still alive. Are you alive here?
Well, let's see, up to you to think.
Well, I don't know. I believe everything and nothing. People tell me, like, you could be a ghost. I believe you.
No, I'm not. Really, you can't see through me.
No.
It's an analogy
Okay.
to having been murdered professionally. Because
So he was a mean guy.
He was just out of his mind. I mean, he was just he could be charming and funny, but he was an egomaniac.
So do you think bipolar, it wasn't like identifiable back then? You think he had
I don't
that?
think they even had names for the things he was.
Right, yeah, yeah. Do you have a name for it?
Oh, I wouldn't say on the radio.
So, did you know Ronnie?
I met her, yes.
Yeah.
But that was years later when I lived in L.A.
Okay. So, did you love LA?
L.A. And you got 3 weeks. Let me see. It was
For you, I do.
It's a very, very questionable place because it's everyone is out to grab something from you, and everyone is very, very super ambitious, and so they can't hide their guile and their ambition from in the guise of being friendly, you know. And I didn't like that whole atmosphere, having to put on a phony act at all times. The only nice people I met there, and I did some good business there too. Where I had become a Cleo Whitting commercial writer before
Good
that.
for you.
When I was a staffer at for Artie Rip at Kama Sutra. I did some great commercials there. And so when I was in LA, I had these great videos of commercials. This was much later, and I showed them to some companies, and I did commercials there. But generally, the only nice people I met was I was always worried about my weight, so I belonged to Overeaters Anonymous.
Okay.
And the only really nice people I met were
there?
the people at
The fat
Overeaters
people.
Anonymous.
Yeah,
Well, because, you know,
that got skinny.
Yeah, well,
They were so happy.
They didn't necessarily get skinny, but they weren't really in the music industry.
So what do you think of Jennifer Hudson?
Well, I think she's gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope she stays that way.
You do? So you think? Well, I don't really care how she stays. She's beautiful always to me.
Yeah.
And do you like her singing?
It's pretty good.
Who do you like as an artist?
Who do I like?
Yeah. Who inspires you?
Well, I like Celine Dion's voice.
Okay.
It knocks me out.
Okay.
I wish I could get a cut by her. I certainly have the songs. Who do I like?
Nora Jones.
I love Nora Jones. And I was friends with Barbara Streisand.
I was thinking Streisand in my mind. I was the one I was going to ask you.
When we were kids, we were similar in age, and I met her through some other actor friends of mine.
I just saw Funny Girl the other day. It's like my favorite movie in the whole world.
Yeah, it's a very touching movie.
It's just so good.
It's a great
But
movie.
then I just read everything I could about Fanny Bryce, and I learned a lot about her.
Well, Fanny Bryce was nothing like Barbara Streisand.
Right.
Fanny Bryce was very Yiddish and very, and her actions and her emotions were very, very much. They were kind of captured from her immigrant parents, and you can't blame her because in the 30s like that, I think that's you came up in a very, very ghetto type neighborhood here in America, and all those habits were the same as they were in Poland and Russia.
Right.
And so she basically had a tremendous amount of comedy talent, but she was very homely, and she was very, very. She had that Yiddish humor quality, which was very commercial then. I don't know if it would work today exactly.
A lot of things changed. Today is different.
I don't think that she really characterized Fanny Bryce, but she certainly has a great voice. But when we were kids, when I saw her in this Another Evening with Harry Stoons was the name of the show that I saw her with.
Okay.
And I met her that night, and we all went over to the Cafe Wa to have some coffee, cappuccino.
Wow.
In fact, there are pictures of me in the book, which an artist friend of mine hand drew. He would always hand draw me at the Cafe Wa. And we were all together. To keep turning, you'll find them. Here they are. These were done at the Cafe Wa at different times. One of them was done when we were with Barbara, and the other was done later.
Wow. Those are beautiful.
I don't know if you can see him.
How great
You can see him.
Wow.
But she was so poor at that time. She didn't have an agent yet, and I thought she sang so beautifully.
She does.
And we became friends, and I said to her, what's the situation? She says, when you see this bedroll, and she showed me this thick, woolly thing she would carry at all times on her. And I said, what is that? She says, well, that's the bedroll I sleep on in my friend's photographic studio on his whole drafty
Wow.
floor. Because I don't...
Chelsea, just like you.
What's that?
Barbara Streisand was homeless and slept with her bed. She carried her bedroll around with her.
Yeah.
I should probably do that.
Yeah, she'd sleep on people's
They were
floors.
Well, I mean, then I said to her, my roommate just moved out. Why don't you can stay at my house. So she crashed at my house for about a month.
Wow. And then what
during
happened?
that time, she used to sing at a place called the Blue Angel. And
Mhm.
I'd go to see her sometime, but I was too busy with my own writing and everything.
Right.
And I didn't, and she kept saying things to me like, oh, everyone wants me to sing. I don't like to sing. I want to be an actress. It was
Ah.
interesting because that was her dream, to be an actress.
And she became one.
Well, she didn't
Yeah.
really want the singing to be the road to becoming an actress, but it really
It was her vehicle.
But then she met Marty Ehrlichman, who became her manager. He saw her at the Blue Angel and went crazy bananas over her talent. And got her immediately onto Columbia Records. And she started making these very sophisticated CDs, and you did great for her. And the funny thing was that when she moved out, she had already been cast into I Can Get It For You Wholesale.
Ah.
And she and Elliot Gould had fallen madly in love like in the first 2 days of rehearsal. And so after she moved out, and she did invite me to the opening night if I could get it through the wholesale. I'll never forget that. We were at Sardi's. It was incredible. And then at the party after.
Wow.
But then she and Elliot Gould got a little tiny apartment over a fish store on the east side. And the rest is history.
It certainly is.
It's all in here.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's all in the book.
And where can people find the book?
Well, it's on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
Okay, and now you live in Nashville?
Yes.
Thank you, Amanda.
Hey.
Amanda Williams.
Oh, yes. Is Amanda watching?
She might be, but she
I'm
will
amazed that you
later.
met Amanda at that.
I met Amanda, and I've met other people, and I know Ferris, and like last week my friend Val said she met you at B.B. King's, and
Yes, I-
all these people were saying BeVeRLy, and then Amanda said, would you like her to come on the show? And I was like, are you serious? Yeah. And I would love you to come as many times as you ever want,
Oh,
because
thank
we're
you.
short for time, but today we do have coconut cream pie cookies.
No, thanks.
You all have one? Well, you told enough stories anyway.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So do you have a website that you want people to go to that they
Yes,
can...
it's www. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's www.beverlyross.info.
Oh, .info. So is that a new thing,
Yeah.
.info?
There was no more room to get
.com or .org
Or
There was no
.net?
more. They
.info is
were
the new
no-
black, huh?
They were no more available.
So what's your favorite thing in Nashville?
In Nashville? Well, I have a beautiful 4-bedroom house in a gorgeous neighborhood called Westmead.
Yes, I know Westmead.
You know Westmead? Or
I
did you ever
do.
live in Nashville?
No, I'm a New Yorker, but my music team is based in Nashville.
Oh, who are they?
My manager is Scott McReynolds.
Are you a country singer?
No, pop
She's going to
classical
do a song at the
inspirational.
end of the show.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Yeah, did you ever perform at the Bluebird?
No, but I did perform at the factory.
Oh, at the factory.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's in
Franklin. Yeah.
I played once at 3rd and Lindsay.
Oh, you did?
I
yeah.
did, yeah. That's my
Third
Nashville.
Lindsley has great.
I had a great night. It
They
was so much
fixed
fun.
up their whole place. They completely rewired it. It's got the most incredible equipment now.
Wow.
High-level mics and speakers and everything.
It was a great time. I was in Nashville for 24 hours, and I can't wait to get back.
Why
there.
24
Because
hours?
I was on tour, and we were in a different place every day, and so we
Wow.
played at Sam Ash during the daytime, and then
Yeah.
3rd and Lindsley at night. And
Samish is a guitar store.
yeah, and then these people were so nice to me that they took us to the Strip after, and we stayed up and went to Waffle House, and we had the Waffle House. Oh, I had so much fun in Nashville. Yeah.
Scattered, covered, and
I
smothered.
want to open up a Waffle House in Williamsburg. Exactly. I know. I think I want to do that.
Well,
So
I'm
BeVeRLy
I'm
Ross.
very glad that you mentioned the book because it took me about a year, and it was really she's an amazing editor. She's got an IQ to die for. Did you speak with her much?
Amanda?
With Amanda,
Oh,
yeah.
she seems like a
She's
really
very
brilliant
smart.
girl.
She knows all about
Business.
copyright. She knows all about licensing. She knows all about products.
Yeah.
For instance, I have right now.
Oh yeah, let's just look real quick.
Yeah, right now. This was in a book that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame put out, and they put my picture in there.
In Cleveland, the
In
Rock and Roll
Cleveland.
Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
So you're in there?
Yes, and because it came out, they had invited me last year to Cleveland, and that's how I met them in the first place. That's me at 19 for promoting a song that I had.
You look exactly the same. That's 19. Wait a minute. What's your beauty secret? What do you do? What do you do? Because do you still go to Overeaters? Do you still go to Overeaters Anonymous?
No.
So did you learn all their tricks?
Yes, and they didn't help me very much.
Oh, I
I-
love you. Good for you.
I lost weight with other methods.
Like drinking Coca-Cola when it had cocaine in it?
I've been looking for that stuff. I could never find it.
Today is the day that it was first introduced in Atlanta. Today is the day
Oh, really?
when it had cocaine.
Well,
Coca-Cola.
why did they remove the
That's
cocaine?
what I said. I don't know. They made diet. I know.
It was the first energy drink.
Exactly. The original energy.
The original
drink.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga singing your song?
No, Lady Gaga stole
Oh, that
my
makes-
lollipop and used it contrapuntally.
Did you sue her?
It's a very long story. You can't sue somebody when they have an unreleased hit. In other words, she had it played on the air and she sent it to 25,000 of her best friends. But what it is, they
she's
used
a
my
tricky
she
girl.
used my lollipop in counterpoint to a song called Candy Life, and everyone was up in an uproar, including the publisher of Lollipop.
Gaga. She's in hiding right now. Maybe that's why.
It was leaked to the internet. It never got released.
And I
Oh,
had,
that's a trick. She leaked it. She's always leaking to the internet.
No.
I had a couple of Presley tunes, and that's like my bio.
So Elvis sang some of your songs?
Yes.
Which ones?
The Girl of My Best Friend and the Dixieland Rock.
Wow.
Dixieland Rock was in a movie, King Creole.
Wow.
And Girl, My Best Friend was just a...
So did you meet Elvis?
Yes, I did.
Was he nice?
He was...
Was he a high or low that day?
He performed all the songs in his brand new album, of which mine was one of them. And then my publisher had invited me down to Memphis to hear this. And then took me by the hand and took me backstage to meet him. And he was kind of sad and kind of like worn down and didn't even want to talk to me. Only because I think, I got the impression, I wasn't insulted or anything, even though he just got off the stage singing my song last. But he didn't seem to recognize that I had had all these songs and chart songs and everything like that, and many, many, many released songs. But I didn't care because I felt sorry for him. I felt like he was a country boy, and he grew up very, very poor in a very, very black neighborhood with these wonderful friends of his, were little boys that shook their booty, and he learned all that from them.
Right.
And that's all he did. He brought that to the stage.
So what do you think of Justin Bieber?
Oh, I don't think of him at all.
That deserves the whole tray. What's that? The game. The game that's now taking lollipop.
That's a good game. I love that.
It's her song.
I know.
It's called a usage, and you get a usage fee because they basically licensed it now globally. Warner
Oh, really?
Brothers.
So now you're in a video game.
and it's basically a very violent game for
Yeah, it's pretty much all
For 10-year-olds.
It's boobs and gore. That's all it really is. Go
See, you are the original Britney Spears. It just keeps coming back. Look at that. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So BeVeRLy RoSS, thank you so much. Please come back and visit me
Oh,
again.
you're so welcome.
Oh, thank you. Give it up for BeVeRLy RoSS. Get the puck. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. We're going to hear Gina sing now. So we'll be right back.